We are less than 2 weeks from the Hall of Fame game in the NFL. Teams are reporting to training camp. Quick question for you all, though. Do you all think Kyler Murray is overrated? Is that a fair question to ask? I'm just asking for a friend. Or a few friends. Just asking. Anyway, look, JGoodWithSports here. Kyler Murray, I guess, finally got his deal that he's been wanting. This man got an extension, $230 million over 5 years, $160 guaranteed. I don't know. I'm literally stumped on that. So this, Kyler Murray has definitely been a topic of discussion here especially since the playoff game, where the Cardinals quote unquote passed the sticks, as in it's getting blown out so bad. Normally, like anybody that played Madden or any sports games for that general, like usually, like if you get blown out by like 20 plus, you got to pass the sticks, like game over. That's basically essentially what happened to the Cardinals when they played the Rams. That was so bad. That was atrocious. It was pitiful. And so some way, somehow, Kyler Murray got his money. My thoughts are, is Kyler Murray, a top 10 quarterback? Probably not. Top 15? Sure. I was like, okay, well, you got a top 15 quarterback that's, there's 32 teams in the NFL. If you got a top 15, that means, okay, well, you can be competitive. Also, he was paid based on the market. The market allowed quarterbacks to get paid like this. So therefore, Kyler Murray is going to fall in the same boat. I feel like that's just general economics. Supply and demand, right? There is a high demand for really good quarterbacks. And so therefore, if the Cardinals won't pay him, somebody else will. And then the other team will have Kyler Murray, who has top 15 quarterback, and the Cardinals will be irrelevant because this is a quarterback-driven league. Now, I would say this much. The one quarterback that is probably extremely happy that Kyler Murray just got his deal is Lamar Jackson, who has been patiently waiting and waiting to strike his deal. He's more concerned about football. In a sense, he's kind of his own agent to a certain degree. But I'm pretty sure in the back of his mind, he knows that, well, if Kyler Murray, who's been playing terrible at the end of last season and was very atrocious in his first playoff game, who also hasn't been the same quarterback since DeAndre Hopkins got hurt last year. That whole offense, like, they kind of fizzled out. They couldn't do anything without DeAndre Hopkins. So from Lamar Jackson's standpoint, if he got his deal despite all of that, if Deshaun Watson got a fully guaranteed contract at $231 million over 5 years, he's seeing all these deals left and right. And he knows in his head he has accomplished a lot more than most guys at his age in this league. And I'm pretty sure, like, okay, well, that's just another, bargaining chip to the table. That's just another notch in my belt to reasons why I deserve, to be the highest paid quarterback. Yeah, the NFL is a very, dangerous sport. One hit, that's it. And especially for a quarterback like him who puts himself out there more than any other quarterback with his dual threat ability, he's still willing to be patient. And I respect it. So yeah, back to Kyler Murray. Is he overrated? Maybe. I mean, it is a fair question. We're going to find out. He has a chance to redeem himself here. Get the ugly taste out of his mouth from last year against the Rams, who obliterated them. He has a chance. You know why he has a chance? Because DeAndre Hopkins, the same person who got hurt last year and the Cardinals' offense and team fell apart, that same guy, he's suspended for the first 6 games due to PEDs. So we're going to see what Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals offense is really made of for the first 6 games this year. Remember, Christian Kirk left. He's in Jacksonville now. Chase Edmonds left. He's in Miami now. So, I mean, you still have James Conner, who's a Pro Bowl running back. Double-digit touchdowns last year. Matter of fact, I believe he led the NFL in rushing touchdowns. You got him. You brought in Hollywood Brown via trade from the Baltimore Ravens. Former college teammate of Kyler Murray, so he understands the system. You brought back A.J. Green, who is like 3 shells of himself, but nevertheless, he's out there. And you still got Zach Ertz, who you traded for last year, who, when healthy, is a very capable tight end. So you still have weapons here. Still have weapons. Defense still okay. Chandler Jones gone, but, it's all right. So, since Kyler Murray got his contract, now it's time for him to live up to that deal. It's time, because just based on the statistics from what I saw, last year, less than 4,000 yards passing, 24 passing touchdowns, 10 interceptions. What's that? 2.4 ratio, touchdown to interception ratio. It could be better. It could definitely be better. I mean, career-wise, 11,480 passing yards, 70 touchdowns to 34 interceptions. So you basically had a 2-to-1 ratio. A 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, $230 million extension, $160 guaranteed. I mean, I can't say this. He does have 20 touchdowns in his career on the ground, but 11 of those came in his second year. And not to mention, the man only played 3 years and got this deal. Lamar Jackson getting ready to enter his 5th year. Let that sink in. So yeah, we are going to see what Kyler Murray is really about. A lot of pressure was just put on him by him inking that deal. What are you going to do about it, Kyler? The first 6 games. Matter of fact, I'm going to pull up the schedule here in a second, because I'm curious now. The first 6 games, what are you going to do, Mr. Murray? Ooh-wee. All right. Week 1. They're at home against Kansas City. I know Kansas City is going to be a little different without Tyreek Hill, but Kansas City is still tough. Good luck with that, Arizona. Week 2 at Las Vegas against the Raiders. To me, the Raiders on paper are the best team in the AFC West. That's just me. But as we know, the AFC West have 4 teams capable of making the playoffs. That's going to be a tough game. And not to mention Chandler Jones is with the Raiders now. Ooh-wee. And then we going to stay, against a West Coast opponent here. Week 3, your division rival, the Rams. Super Bowl champion, Los Angeles Rams. Good luck. And I guess it gets a little better because the first 3 games, that's kind of brutal. Honestly, that might be the toughest 3 games of any team this season, just looking at it. But, week 4, you're at Carolina, Baker Mayfield show. I mean, you better not lose to them. I know it's at Carolina still. But and I'll say this much about the Panthers. See, the Panthers last year, I know they started off, pretty good, and then they just fizzled all the way out. They had a bottom 3 worst offense in the whole NFL, statistically. But they had a top 3 defense statistically in the NFL at the same time. So that defense is actually pretty good. Just throwing that out there. Week 5 against the Eagles. This Eagles team, I mean, a lot of people are picking them to win the NFC East this year. I mean, on paper, they actually are pretty good. Pretty darn good, actually. So that's no, pushover either. All right, now week 6, this is probably the one that you have to win this game. It's almost a gimme at this point. Week 6, I know it's a division game, but it's at Seattle, who has 0 quarterback. That's all they got. No quarterback. 1 wide receiver. 1 safety. That's about it. So yeah, you have to win that game. So in week 7, that's when DeAndre Hopkins, scheduled to come back. It'll be a primetime game Thursday, home against the New Orleans Saints. And that Saints team is really good. And just looking at the rest of the schedule, week 8 at Minnesota, week 9 home to Seattle, week 10 at LA for the Rams, week 11 home versus the 49ers, week 12 home against the Chargers, bye week 13, week 14 home against the Patriots, week 15 at Denver, week 16 versus Tampa Bay, week 17 at Atlanta, and week 18 at San Francisco. On the outside looking in, as I'm, getting ready to scratch my head here and look at this, I don't see a path to the playoffs for this team this year. Because I don't think the Cardinals are better than anybody in the AFC West. Because I want to say that's 4 losses right there. They're not better than the Rams. 49ers, I mean, they might split. It all depends on how good Trey Lance is going to be. Seattle, I mean, you should win those games. But when you also have games against the Buccaneers, the New England Patriots, I mean, at Minnesota, that's no pushover either. In New Orleans and the Eagles, I don't know what to tell you. Besides Atlanta, Seattle, and maybe Carolina, like the rest of these games, they're going to be tough. I'll say this much, and I mean it when I say it. If the Cardinals make the playoffs, they earned it. They have earned it. Earned it, because, all right, so without D-Hop, it's like, that's bad enough. I think they go 2-4 over that stretch. If they was to go 3-3, that's a win. But they're easily losing the first 3 games, in my opinion. If they win one of those games, then they might have a chance. Between Kansas City, Las Vegas, and the LA Rams. If they win any one of those games, they might have a chance here. But I expect them to go 0-3 there and be 2-4 when DeAndre Hopkins come back. And then they're going to have to find a way to sneak a couple of these tough games out on the road and defend their home field. I mean, all in all, they have, looks like, 3 primetime games. That one I mentioned against New Orleans, as soon as DeAndre Hopkins come back. Then they have a Monday night game in November. Actually, might be right before Thanksgiving there, like November 21st against the 49ers. And then another Monday night game like 3 weeks later against New England. Both of them are at home, by the way, for them. So, yeah, Mr. Murray. The fact that you got your contract extension so early before guys that's, been drafted before you, coming off a horrific loss. Like, heck, I even made a meme about that game, in the middle of that game. It was that bad. And I cracked my knuckles, opened up my phone, and started making memes on Kyler Murray. It was that bad. But the fact that, you got your contract after a bad loss and what have you done for me lately type league. The fact that there's no DeAndre Hopkins, and we've seen so far what you are without DeAndre Hopkins, which is not much of anything performance-wise. I mean, Kyler Murray, he has ability. He showed flashes of, being brilliant. I want to say early on last year that, he was in the MVP hunt until that fizzled out. And there's a case for him. If he plays well, he could win MVP this year based on the schedule, based on not having DeAndre Hopkins for the first 6 games. Based on what this team needs in order for him to get to the playoffs. Like, he has to play like out of his mind for this team to make the playoffs just based on this schedule. He has to. Heck, I was on DraftKings yesterday. I haven't been on there in so long, but they have promos like, bet on Kyler Murray to win this year's MVP and get a such and such boost towards it. So they know it's not far-fetched, but at the same time, it's not the easiest thing either. So, yeah, it's going to be telling. The first 6 weeks is going to be very telling. This whole season is going to be telling. Because it's going to be nothing but adversity here. What are you going to do, Kyler? What are you going to do? All right, we'll leave it at that. We'll have more, topics and discussions about training camp and NFL as we are less than 2 weeks away from some actual contact here. Your boy, check me out. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Check me out right here on the No Offense radio app and the No Offense network. Man, we're going to continue to rock and roll. Approaching the last week of July here. Before you know it, August. And before you know it, you're going to start seeing snow here in a few months. So continue to enjoy your summer. You all be safe. Much love. See you soon. Peace.